I've been heads down, dialed in, locked in, ignoring everything except for my core business, which is what a great founder is supposed to do. But a few months ago, I got this idea. I got this SaaS idea, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. So I made a really tough decision. I made the decision to allocate some time to actually take that idea and build it out and test it out. And fast forward to today, that idea went to being a product that is now generating revenues. Here's the big question. How did this happen? In a world where 99.9% of startups never even earn $1, how did I take an idea to a product and generate actual revenues? In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through exactly the behind the scenes of how this all came together. Very specifically, I'm gonna show you how I noticed the gap in the market. Then I'm gonna show you my 10x solution, the product that I built. I'm gonna show you how I avoided distractions from my core day job. I'm gonna show you everything that I learned in getting to revenues, and I'm gonna tell you finally what's actually next. And when you watch this episode, you're gonna learn the behind the scenes of what happens to go from an idea to product to revenues. And it's my sincere hope that you apply these principles and you're able to accelerate your founder journey to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help AI and SaaS founders like you grow your businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your AI and SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. If you're part of this community, if you're part of my coaching programs, my people, welcome back. Really awesome to see you over here. First, some context. My last company, Kader, we pioneered the sales engagement category. We were one of the first in the market. We built out that category, and we were able to actually scale that company. We were backed by the likes of Andreessen Horowitz, Founder Collective, and even Dave McClure from 500 Startups. We scaled Kader and sold it to Marketo. Marketo was a market leader in the marketing automation space. I joined their executive team after they acquired my company, and we did a 2-year transformation, and we sold Marketo to Adobe for $4.75 billion. After that, I started my current company, Unstoppable. And here at Unstoppable, I publish these episodes, and I work with SaaS and AI founders to transform their go-to-market strategy and accelerate growth. To date, I have worked with hundreds of founders, and we've added millions of dollars of ARR using the framework that I teach and I help implement. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the principles that I implemented to take one of my own ideas, turn it into a product and revenues. Specifically, I'm gonna show you exactly how I identified the gap, what the product is, how I avoided the distractions that exist from my core daily job, everything that I learned, and what I'm gonna do with it next. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And let's talk about the gap first. Noticing the gap, and we'll cross these off as we go. Now, in terms of the gap, you gotta think about my day job. So I live and breathe growing AI and SaaS companies. And 99.9% of my day is spent working with founders on their go-to-market strategy, on their go-to-market execution, and unlocking growth. I find myself in rooms with founders. So here's a whole picture behind me of me in rooms with founders. And in these rooms, we are digging deep into the challenges they face inside of their business. And we dig into exactly what the choke points are and how they unlock growth and what it takes to win in SaaS and AI today. These are entire immersives that I've hosted across the globe and actually dug into the key challenges that founders face. Now, those are the actual immersives. I also spend a lot of time with founders virtually on Zoom calls inside my programs. So this is what my programs look like right now. And this is literally my day job, which is why it was so tough to make a decision on whether to even spend 0.001% of my time into anything else, let alone another SaaS product. There's 3 buckets of founders and CEOs that I meet through this channel. The first bucket are founders who are in the pre-product or maybe the pre-revenue stage. So for them, I have my launch program. Once you get to some predictable revenues, then you need a scalable go-to-market machine. So you're looking to get from a few hundreds of thousands of dollars of ARR to that 3 million to 10 million ARR. And you want a scalable machine for that. For that, I have my go-to-market program. And then something crazy happened. I started meeting CEOs. I started meeting founders who are millions of dollars of ARR, and they just need to scale. And they're like, look, we don't want a program. We have more capital and less time. So I want you to come in and your team to come in and just implement everything for us. So we now have our go-to-market partner program where we partner with you to implement everything that I teach, and my team and I implement everything. That's my day-to-day. And it's an incredible business, and I love doing what I do, which is why I started to notice the gap. One of the biggest gaps that I started to notice as I worked with founders and CEOs, particularly in the earlier stage, is they all felt a little overwhelmed with everything that they need to do. One of the toughest things of being a founder is that you have to zoom in and zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. 1 minute you're zooming in to some random issue that you have in the business. Another minute you're zooming out and trying to think about your next fundraise, or trying to think about the macro trend or your competitor or some big deal that you're working on. So that zoom in, zoom out is very real. And a lot of times founders that go through the process, and I felt this too in my prior business and even in this business as we've scaled, you go through a day and you do all these things, and then you have to allocate time for doing your actual work, the stuff that you really need to do to move the needle on your business. And I've asked this in my workshops, I've asked this in my coaching calls, my one-on-one sessions, you name it. I get so much interaction with founders and CEOs and teams. I've asked this, like, hey, how many of you are truly focusing in on your needle movers? How many of you struggle to prioritize what's really important? How many of you go through an entire week and then realize, hey, like, what did I even do this week? Did I even move the needle on the things that really matter? And every single time I'm in a room with founders, not everyone, but a good number of them raise their hand. And this is one of the things that I struggled with in my last company. And then I learned how to adapt to it and actually get ahead of it. And this is a gap that I found in the market. The gap being there's an endless list of things that you need to do. There's endless ways to manage your tasks. And now with AI agents, you're actually creating even more work because your agents are doing more instantly. And now you need to make decisions on whether to move on it or not. It's a prioritization problem. It's a huge prioritization problem. And this is what the gap is. And the biggest thing that I found myself coaching founders on was literally looking at their calendar and looking at their habits and saying, hey, like, how about you prioritize the 3 most important things that you need to do on a daily basis? Focus on those first versus reacting to the 50 million things that other people need you to do or want you to do. You choose what your top 3 needle movers are and then go from there. And Mark Andreessen had a really great piece of advice. I think he had a blog post at some point back when his blog archives were fully available. And he talked about how he loved to wake up in the morning and take an index card like this and turn it this way and write out 3 things that he needed to accomplish that day. And I learned about this well before A16Z invested in my last company, and it stuck with me. And so I started getting into index cards for the same reason. And that's why I have index cards all the time. I started getting an index card to list out my 3 needle movers of the day. And I always knew that if I checked off the 3 boxes, I will have moved forward on my key priorities in the business. And then everything else is upside from there. And this stuck with me over time. But then something else changed in my own life. Little by little, it wasn't just 3 needle movers. It was 5, because I had my launch program, I had my go-to-market program, and then we had our go-to-market partnerships where we would go into the organization and implement everything for these CEOs. And there was just more to be done. There were more moving pieces. So I found myself struggling with an entire index card. And that's where this idea started to come. There was these 2, one market signal where founders were feeling a little overwhelmed. And I was also like, man, my manual index card solution just isn't cutting it. And so that's where this idea came. It started bothering me. I'm like, there needs to be like a digital index card. And there's so much you can do. And I get it. You're thinking like the world does not need another to-do list. But I was like, who cares? I think that I need it. And I think my close clients, the ones that I'm truly in the trenches with and I'm coaching, I think they would use it. But at the end of the day, I need it. And so that's where I noticed the gap. And by the way, I have a thriving business. So this isn't like an idea I'm going to go raise money on, but I'm like, I'll do it. I would use it and I will have no expectation from it. It'll be a creative outlet. So I'm going to go build a solution. And so that's how I noticed the gap. So we're going to check that off. Now, I'm going to show you what the product looks like that is now generating revenues. And then I'm going to talk a little bit around how I avoided distractions while keeping my main job. And then I'm going to show you everything that I learned. So let's now switch over to actually showing you what the product is, and then we'll go through the other pieces. Okay, so if you want to try this at home and you want to use this product, I'll link to it below. You can go there. You don't have to go anywhere right now. But this is Flow. Flow is the product that I created, and I created it out of love for me, and I promised myself that I would only allocate like 0.001% of my time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how I managed the distractions and made sure that this wasn't a distraction to my day job, because founders rely on me. So let me first show you what Flow is, and then we'll take it from there. So this is Flow, and you'll notice that it's just a series of index cards. I'm gonna first show you the logged out experience, and then I'll show you a view into my own flow. And the whole idea of Flow is it's designed to help you get into flow state. So every morning now I wake up and I can just create my hit list. So my hit list today is actually scripting, filming. I'm being real, that's literally my hit list for today. And then client follow-ups. I tend to not have any meetings on this day because I'm just purely focused on creating this episode. The rest of the week is focused on clients and the actual work that I want to be doing. So this is literally my hit list for today. I don't need to do anything else. And that's it. That's literally the task list. And it started with this, and I'll explain how I structured building the product and what features I added over time to get to the price point that we have. But it started like this. I added one more feature, which is I just like to have some ambient sounds. It just helps. So I added this little feature where you can either have the sounds of a cozy fireplace, a coffee shop, or alpha waves, and you just hit play and it'll kind of play for you. My favorite is the cozy fireplace. It's just like, I feel like I'm doing deep work and I'm in flow state. And the reason this is so powerful is because now nothing else matters. There may be other things that may be coming at me, but I just know that if I do these three things, I will have moved my business forward and I will have hit my goals for the week. And I'll tell you a little bit around why the goals for the week is a big part of getting into flow state. So this is how this came together. And then this came from one of our customers. There may be one more thing where I actually have to do date night. I don't have to, I get to, which is cool. And one of the things we added in is you can actually prioritize your tasks. So it could be urgent and important, meaning I need to do this and it's important, or it's urgent but not important, or it's fun. So I can mark these, where's the priority? Priority as urgent and important, and these are urgent and important. So on days where I felt like I just had more, I needed to prioritize. And so I was able to just prioritize around what's urgent, what's important, what's urgent and important, and then what's for fun. I need to do something for fun, so I can add that as well. So that's kind of my hit list for today. And that's what you get inside of Flow. As we started to build this out and I shared it with some of my friends, I didn't do a product hunt launch. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just shared it with my clients that I knew had the issue. They started to give me some more feedback. And one of the features we added was, at the end of the day, let's just say email inbox is one of these, and that's definitely not fun, but it's not urgent and it's not important. Like there isn't anything urgent in there. So one of the things that came up was like, hey, sometimes I don't finish my hit list, and that's okay, especially the not urgent, not important stuff, but I want to move it to tomorrow. I definitely want to do it tomorrow. So we added this feature where it's let tomorrow you handle this, and it'll create a tomorrow card, which is all in gray. And email inbox will be right over there, which is really cool. The last thing that we added, again, this has all been through just working with my friends and using it myself, is sometimes a certain task needs a plan of attack. So the other thing that we added is you can hit this plan of attack, and then you can kind of break down a task, you chunk it down. This is something I learned from Tony Robbins, where you can go in and create the strategy and the notes on how you're gonna actually get this done, and you can break it into little subtasks that you can check off so that the big thing gets done. In this case, I don't really need a plan of attack, but you would be able to do it. Okay, so that's my solution. And you'll notice like my own testimonial is shown here. I've done 439 tasks, 123 days active, 33-day streak, and others are using it as well and paying for it. There are some other features. We ended up adding some weekly, monthly planning. We added an AI feature, but I'm gonna talk about that in the everything I learned. I have a whole set of index cards to explain those. So we won't go into that just yet. I'll show you those other features, and that's when I'll show you what my own flow looks like. This is the logged out experience, and this is the logged in experience. This is my actual Flow account. I added this like blur feature so I can actually demo it to people when I'm showing it to people. So I'll show you about that. So that's like my 10x solution. That's what I built. Let's talk a little bit around how I avoided distractions, because I think that one will be important. And then we'll go through the rest of this list. Okay, so as I did this, I set some rules and I made sure that I avoided distractions, because I cannot say enough, like my clients are the most important thing. The launch program, the go-to-market program, and the GTM partnerships, like super important. That's all I do and I love doing it. That's my core business. So I set some ground rules. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I have to set some ground rules, because my default is I get a lot of ideas. So I just do an episode about ideas that I get, and that's my outlet. But this one just kept coming back to me. And in a way, it's like a labor of love. So I just had to do it. Okay, so in terms of how I avoided distractions around this, I set some ground rules. Number one, this should only take 0.001% of my time, because 99.9% of my time goes towards my clients. I work with the founders and we want to deliver success. And that's why we've had so many success stories, because I'm devoted to this. So this was like, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a creative outlet. So it's going to be 0.001% of my time. The second rule I set is no coding, only vibes. Meaning, I know how to code. I am an engineer. I have pushed code to production. I continue to do it every single day. You know, in each of our programs, we've created AI tools that founders use for their go-to-market. When we go in to do these go-to-market partnerships, we use those AI tools to implement. So I code for that. But the rule I set for this one is no coding. It's only vibes, meaning the entire application is built on vibe coding. And it is incredibly good. We used Lovable for this. Like, it is battle hardened. It's awesome, but I've never touched a line of code. It does have a GitHub repo, but I've never touched a line of code. The third thing, I want to enjoy this and I want to build it for myself. I actually don't care whether I can raise funding around it. I don't need to. I don't care if other people like it or not. I want to use it. And I want the founders that I work with that are struggling with figuring out how to prioritize their day and get into flow state, I want them to use it. So that was like, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not doing it. I had some people email back on like, oh, I want this, this, and this. I'm like, that sounds boring. Go use Asana. Go use Monday.com. I don't need to build that. That does not sound fun. So if it wasn't fun, I didn't do it. If I didn't enjoy it, I didn't do it. If I wasn't going to use it myself, I didn't do it. And I stuck to that. And like, I truly find joy in using it. I love using Flow. And so I'm like, I held true to that. And then the last one was I would share it with founder clients. No product hunt launch. I didn't even build an unstoppable mini funnel for it or unstoppable sales funnel for it. All those frameworks, I didn't use it. I only shared it with my existing network of other founders, and whoever wanted to use it that was struggling with prioritizing their day, getting into flow state, only doing the needle movers, like they used it and they love it. So that's what I stuck with. That's how I avoided distractions. And honestly, that worked out really well for me. And we have a product that went from idea and has revenues, and I love using it and I use it every single day. So check. And my core business never got hurt and I didn't get distracted from it. So it all worked out really, really well. So I'm gonna check this one off. That's how I avoided the distractions. For you, some of you that are watching may have a day job. So you could use these rules to say, hey, like, let's just build something for myself and only use 0.001% of the time and no coding, vibe only, to prove it out first. Some of you have services businesses. My coaching and services business, Unstoppable, that's my core business. It is a services business. I'm in the business of service, but I added this software product and my clients use it and pay for it. So some of you are in a services business and you could use the same model if you've got an idea for something to build out an AI product or a SaaS product that your existing clients can use, and it's one more revenue line for you. So you could do it that way. But that's how I really stayed focused and avoided distractions. Okay, now before I go into everything I learned, and I have a dedicated card for that one, and what I'm gonna do next, let me pause here for a second. If you're starting to see the power in this, my message for you is, if you do it right, you can take an idea to product to revenues. If you do it right. For me, I really focused on an urgent and important problem. I looked at if there was a gap in the market, and I looked at if this was worth it for me. And I set my parameters. I'm like, yeah, there's an urgent, important problem. Founders do feel overwhelmed. I work with them all day long. I'm not gonna make this my main business, but I think this is gonna be a great product that can generate revenues. And I have clients that would love it and they would pay for it. So win-win-win. For me, it worked. And for you, that may work really well. If you've got a great day job, but you want a side project that generates revenues, this could be cool. If you've got a services business and you want to bulk up on the AI side and the software side, this could be an additional revenue line if you do it in the right way. So that's the real big takeaway on how I approach this. So if you start to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? You also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, if you're in this stage where you're looking at building out your SaaS product, your AI product, I call it AI SaaS now, AI SaaS product, because most SaaS products have AI now. And I'll show you how we did meaningful AI in Flow. If you're at that stage where you're trying to develop your idea, you're really trying to flesh it out, you're trying to figure out what the right steps are, then I encourage you to grab a copy of my 10-point AI and SaaS business checklist. This checklist includes the 10 questions I asked myself before I decided to put any time towards this. This checklist also gives you my vibe coding prompts that you can follow to build out the first version of an AI SaaS application. It's completely free. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it in the description below. I'll also link to Flow in the description below. Let's go into the next part that I prepared for you, which is everything I learned to get to revenues. In terms of everything I learned to get to revenues, let me switch over, okay? So the first thing that I really dug into when I was developing Flow and building Flow, even for myself, was to really focus on the core product loop. And I showed you the core product loop already. The core product loop was as simple as, I have an index card. What's my hit list? That was it. That was literally it. And the first version of this only did these daily tasks. It's like, hey, like, here's a hit list. Here's your index card. Every day gets an index card. What do you need to get done today? And that was it. And that was it. And that got people using it and trying it out, which was really cool. So the first thing I really did was I said, is the core product loop interesting and compelling enough? And again, I'm not raising venture capital for this, so I don't need this to be a huge market. I just need me to love it, and other founders that struggle with prioritizing their day and getting the needle movers done to love it also. So I was like, this is really cool. This is unlike anything else out there, and I think it's really cool, and I love using it. I love checking things off, so I'm gonna use it. So that's what I did. So the first thing I really focused on, and I've talked about this in my other videos, and I teach this to founders in my launch program, is you really want to focus on the core product loop first. I did that, nothing else mattered. And again, it was 0.001% of my time. So literally it was having the index card and checking things off and getting this really cool feeling of, yeah, I crossed it off. And at the end of the day, being able to cross everything off. That's what I really wanted. And I got that. That was my core product loop. The second thing that I then worked on is to really develop a core habit, because I found in any product, the daily use is important, especially for products that need to be recurring revenue. So people need to be using it daily. You need to get into their core habit. One thing that I found is once you have the core product loop, ideally the core product loop creates a daily habit. And in this case, it's a to-do app. So of course you're gonna use it daily. But I wanted to add some more habits. So the next thing that I did was I added a weekly and monthly reflection. This is an example of a monthly reflection, and this is my weekly. I already did my weekly reflection. So these are my goals for the week. They're highlighted over here. The monthly one, I didn't do this month because I didn't get around to it. But what it does is once you do the reflection, it remembers what you did. And remember, this is gonna come in handy because my third one is our AI feature. I'll show you that in a second. But it remembers what your monthly reflections are and what your goal is for the month. And it remembers what your weekly reflections are and what your goals are for the week. It remembers these things because you're basically reflecting. It's your journal. I think I can go into this if I do start. Yeah, so this is a good example. This call today. So super simple, past month, next month, you basically get guided through it. There's a little video that plays. It's super fun. I do the monthly reflections most of the time. I didn't do it this month because I just got engaged and it was a very busy part. I just got engaged and it was You are my everything. I just got engaged and it was a very busy start to the month. And I'm like, I'm good. But the weekly, I always do. I always have a plan for the week. I'm a big believer in that. So my weekly goals are set. But it's super simple. So that's the second thing I added. I added these core habits, where now people using Flow have the daily tasks, their hit list, they have a weekly reflection, what are the wins, what are you grateful for, what's your goal for the week, and your monthly, like what are the big wins, what'd you move, and what's your big goal for the month. Super easy. So that's the second thing that we added. I'll cross these off as I kind of walk you through it. So we talked about that, and we talked about the core product loop and the core habits. Once we got all that done, something interesting happened. I realized that For the founders using it, Flow had a ton of context. It had context around your daily tasks, what you're working on. It had context around your weekly goals and things you're grateful for, things that are bothering you, and your monthly reflections. It just had that context. And it was in the back of my mind where I'm like, this needs an AI feature. The first real AI feature that really rolled out was our MCP server. So we added an MCP server because a lot of founders, I also work with them, and we talk a lot around how you can build an entire Claw or OpenClaw or Claude Code agent that helps you run your business with the right metrics, and it's analyzing metrics all the time. Like right now, this is a separate little thing that we did where I get a 10 a.m. message with the full business analysis from my agent on WhatsApp, and I can look at it. It's really cool. But we're all in there in Claude Code doing work, analyzing things. So we added an MCP server where I can tell Claude Code like, hey, I want you to create this task based on what we talked about, and I want you to update the plan of attack and break it down into subtasks, and I want you to mark the things that you're gonna do as my AI agent and mark the things that I'm gonna do and that you need from me. And so that was one of the first meaningful AI features that we added. And that was really cool because now Flow was embedded and my agent knows about it, and it kind of knows what is important to me and what I'm working on, but can add stuff in there as I'm doing some of the work, which is really cool. And again, it added another layer of context on what I'm working on and what I'm thinking through, what my plan of attack is. The final thing that we added is an AI performance coach. So we had the tasks, your hit list, we had your reflections. So the only thing remaining, I'm like, you know what? I have a pretty good handle on everything that's going on in your life. If you're using Flow and you're getting into flow state, your reflections, your tasks. So we added an AI performance coach. And the AI performance coach basically generates a coaching report. Every week after your reflection, every week it looks at your tasks, it looks at your reflections, your goals, and it gives you performance coaching because it has the context of what you're doing on a daily basis. And that was really cool. And people started to really like it, and they started to share their reports with me, which was really cool. But then naturally, we got the next feature request. This is the cool part when people are actually using it. We got the next request, and I put this under the meaningful AI bucket. They're like, hey, I want to talk to this coach and knows so much. So we added a little chat with AI coach. And I will say, like, I'm always a little dubious of like the LLM bolted on to the SaaS product. And those are only as valuable as how good you set up the prompts and how much context your product has. We have tremendous amounts of context. And so we added this AI performance coach where you can just chat with it based on the coaching report it delivered and also what you've got going. And there were some questions I found myself asking it that we baked in as defaults. So now I can just quickly go to it and other founders know how to ask it. So for example, what patterns do you see in my productivity this week? Or I'm feeling overwhelmed with my workload. I put that one in myself one time, and then it would like talk to me like, hey, like here's what you can move and here's what we can do. I can just say like, yeah, move the rest of these to tomorrow and add something today to go relax and have some fun. And it does it for me. Add a task to review Q1 goals. You can add a task. What should I focus on today? It does the prioritization for you. These two are awesome. These two are my favorites. How have you seen me evolve over the past 6 weeks? And again, I was a little dubious, but it was really great. We set up the prompting in the right way, and it's got this data of your weekly and monthly reflections and your task list. You can see the patterns. And so it gives me these really interesting insights on how I've evolved. I have a human performance coach. I do. I've had her for 5 years. She's incredible, but I talk to her once a week. And I found myself using this more often on a daily basis, but then sharing the reports with her. And we have an even better conversation. And then the last one is I feel like celebrating my wins. Let's review everything I've accomplished. And oh my God, this one, like we've all had those days where we're like beating ourselves up. We're like, we thought we'd be farther along and this didn't happen. And we're founders, just so great at beating ourselves up. What I realized whenever I hit that button, it just goes boom, 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 boom. You forgot about half the wins that you've had, but it remembers because it's your to-do list and your reflection, and it's just all wired up to this incredible performance coach, and it just like gives me I'm like, okay, actually I'm crushing it. So those are the meaningful AI features that we added. And again, going to my how I avoided distractions list, I only added these features. Even if someone recommended it, I only added it if I loved it, if I enjoyed it. If I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. If it's not, then this sucks, I don't wanna do it. Because in a way, this is my creative outlet. I really wanna be using this, but it's also 0.001% of my time, so I don't wanna waste time. And also I'm like, you know what? I want this to really feel good. And now I think it's really great. And I didn't put this in here, but one of the additional features that I added is mobile. And that, again, remember how I avoided distractions, no coding, only vibes. I was able to make it mobile compliant where I can load it in my iPhone and save it as an icon without creating an entire app pretty easily. And I can actually go into Flow on my phone and do stuff, which is really cool. But then also what's really cool is I can WhatsApp my agent and say, hey, can you add this task to Flow? And it does that too. So it's all wired up. So MCP or the direct mobile phone, they both work. I can open up the Flow app in the mobile phone and open up the AI performance coach and have a really nice conversation. That's been really cool. So it's been really awesome. I'm loving it. Okay, so let's go to our master list over here. I can check off everything I learned to get to revenue. Those are the big ones. That's kind of how I approached building it and putting it out there with my friends and clients. And that was it. I'm like, look, if my existing clients use it and get value and they're less overwhelmed, then my core business succeeds. So as a services business, if my clients are happier and more successful, then we make money and we're more successful. So that was my benchmark. And it worked out really great. So that's everything I learned just to get to some revenues. Like, it's super easy. And that's what I did. Now let's talk about what's next. Because you might be thinking like, okay, what's TK gonna do? So we went from idea to revenue, and now, the natural instinct is, well, how do we scale this? That's a good question, but I go back to my ground rules around this. Now, I took an idea and built the product and rolled it out as a side quest. My core business is a services business. I'm devoted to my clients. Between the launch program, the go-to-market program, and the growth partnerships, my days are full. And I want to be the best at this. So I'm devoted to it. And I structured this in a way where I'm like, okay, it's going to be a creative outlet because I need to have some fun. And the things that I love and do as hobbies always turn into revenue generating things. That's how Unstoppable started also, but we'll talk about that in another episode. But my thing was like, this cannot take more than 0.001% of my time, but I was able to take an idea and take it to my market as a product and generate revenues. And I expect we'll just get more and more clients using it. So what's next? Well, I kind of wrote this down because it's not obvious. I'm devoted to Unstoppable, so we're gonna keep doing that. So no VC, I'm not gonna go raise venture capital. But like between you and me, just for a second, I could, right? Like I'm a second time founder and there's so much money out there. I can go out there and say, hey, I'm gonna create the AI first project management system. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna go out there and create an AI performance coach. It knows everything about your day-to-day, your reflections. Okay. I can go out there and say, hey, I'm gonna create an AI to-do list. Okay. I can go out there and say, I'm going to create an AI EA, executive assistant. Okay. I could raise venture capital for this. Someone watching this video might actually do that, and you should do that. And then come work with me inside of my go-to-market program so I can help you scale. But I'm not going to do it because Unstoppable is such a great business and I love doing it. And I really love what I'm doing with that. So I'm not going to raise VC, even though you could do it. You could raise VC on this. You can position this where you can raise VC. It could be $1 billion thesis. We're not going to hire a team. I have a co-founder on this. Steven and I are not going to hire a team. We don't need to. It's not a complicated application. Someone could rebuild this from scratch, but then they're going to have to figure out how to get distribution. So it's like, for us, we love this and our clients love it. Cool. Let it ride. I'm not going to do a product hunt launch or an AppSumo deal. I think those things are for losers. The reason I think those things are for losers is because you get losers as customers. The people that buy a lifetime deal are gonna hit up your support queue, ask for stupid things. They're never paying you again. It is just a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna do that. I don't care. I'm not gonna do it. And also, getting hunted is not a launch strategy or a go-to-market strategy. And getting a lifetime deal is basically a life sentence with a bunch of people that paid you $1 and now you're stuck with them for life. Why would you do that? So I'm not gonna do that. Here's what I am going to do. I'm gonna continue to sell this to my service clients and my audience. I'm gonna share this with my audience, which is what I'm doing over here also. If you're a founder, you can use it if you want to. If you don't want to, that's cool. No big deal. But that's what I'm gonna do. And what this ends up being is, for me as a services founder now, I came from the SaaS industry, now I serve SaaS founders, so I run a services company. This adds a software revenue item, an AI revenue item to my services business. Cool, I like that. this means that I have a deeper relationship with my clients. This will also probably mean that people will maybe not even join my launch program or go-to-market program or go-to-market partnership, but start using Flow first and then come and join one of my programs because they're gonna be like, wow, this TK guy kind of knows what he's talking about and my life is way better right now because of Flow. That's cool too. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's my next step. That doesn't mean I'll change my mind. A quarter from now, I might talk to Steven and say, hey, Steven, what if we raise some money around this? Maybe, probably not though, because I'm dialed in, I'm locked in. I casually mentioned that I have life changes and that's got me even more dialed in and even more locked in. So I'm pumped about what I'm working on. I love working with founders on building out their go-to-market strategy and executing on it. So that's what I'm gonna be doing, but these little side quests are cool. They also make me sharper. It helps me apply the principles that I coach on, the principles that I implement in my partnerships. It makes me sharper because it's one more test bed. I can learn things, which is really cool. I really know how to prompt an AI performance coach now. I really know what context looks like when you're feeding it the data and what insights look like for that. That's cool. When I'm working with founders in my launch program who are building their first version of their product and validating it in the market, I know what a core product loop looks like because I've done it again and again. That's cool. That's how all this feeds in. Again, 0.001% of my time. I love using it. The people that use it love using it too. It's a lot of fun. And again, we took an idea to product to revenues. And most of the times people fail at that, which is also really cool because it helps me get better at what I do because I'm in the trenches, experimenting, trying things, proving that I can still do it in different areas, and then going back and teaching people everything I learned, which is also cool. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I took a product from idea to revenue. I'm checking off this last item over here. And what we did in this episode is I explained how I noticed the gap. Then I showed you my 10x solution. Then I showed you how I avoided distractions from my day job. And then I showed you everything I learned to get to revenue and the things that I applied. And then we talked about what I'm gonna do next with it. If you're in this stage where you're working to figure out, hey, what idea do I go after? How do I validate that idea? How do I make sure I don't waste months building something that no one wants? Then I encourage you to grab a copy of my 10-point AI and SaaS business checklist. To grab your copy, just go to tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist, or go to the description below and you'll get a link to the checklist completely free. You'll also get a link to Flow. You can try it out for 7 days and you get both. Inside the checklist, I give you the 10 questions that I asked myself before I even decided to spend 0.001% of my time, let alone my entire time. Even for my 0.001%, I ask myself these questions. I encourage you to do it, whether it's your main business or your side quest, or you're adding AI or SaaS to your services business, whatever it is. I encourage you to ask these questions. Inside this checklist, you will also get the prompts that I use to build out, to vibe code an actual application from start to finish. I give you the prompts and how to structure it. So grab the checklist, check out Flow. Also, if you got value from this episode, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that, truly. I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your AI and SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow founder, if you have a future founder that you want to build a company with, if you have a team member that will get value from this, please share this video with them. If you're part of a Slack group, WhatsApp group, Telegram group, Reddit community where this video would be valuable, please share this. It would mean the world to us. Also, if you're in this stage where you're really in that idea to product stage and you're like, I want to build something and you're getting pumped around it, grab that checklist, check out those prompts, but also watch this video. Inside of this video, within 30 minutes, I went from idea to an actual product, step by step, and I showed you how to do it. So you can go watch that as well. Well, thank you for joining. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Checklist inside of Flow. I'm everywhere, baby. Let's go. Take care, everybody.